Gentlemen, the next question will go to Mr. Rowe. It deals with immigration. As everyone in this room knows, the federal government has failed miserably to protect our borders and to enforce the current immigration laws that are already on the books. What do you think Congress should do to fulfill their duty described in the U.S. Constitution regarding naturalization and immigration?
That's an excellent question, and one that I've heard the last 11 months on the campaign trail. And I think you have to look first off at what is the role of the federal government. I said in my opening statement, the role of the federal government is to protect our national defense and protect our freedoms. That is why we have a federal government. The crux of protecting both of those is to have an immigration policy that works. Normally that question is asked, what do you think about illegal immigration? And I like to say, well, the problem with illegal immigration is it's illegal. When someone steps foot in this country illegally, ladies and gentlemen, they are automatically a felon under the federal laws of this country. And yet we have thousands upon thousands of them running loose in America right now. Whereas if any of us broke the law federally, we'd be rounded up by a U.S. Marshal and put in the federal pen. We have 50 million people on the waiting list to get into this country legally right now in the United States of America, and we allow in about 1 million per year. Now think about that. What incentive is there for those that are waiting legally to get in when we have porous borders and we do not have an immigration policy that works? So to answer that question, I do believe that we have to elect people to Congress that realize and recognize it is a fundamental role of the federal government to protect our national defense and our freedoms, and that is to secure the immigration policy and to make it work. We can talk all night about the things the federal government should not be involved in, but this is one we should be involved in and one that we should do better. And if the federal government would do the job, it would not be left up to the states and cost taxpayers millions of dollars at the state level. Thank you.
Would you repeat that question?
Yes, sir. As we know, the federal government has absolutely failed to protect our borders and to enforce current immigration law. What do you think Congress should do to fulfill their duty described in the U.S. Constitution regarding naturalization and immigration?
Maybe all of them should just quit and put some people over there that actually just enforce the law. I mean, goodness sakes, I mean, everything that Dustin says is also true, but you know, we have the Constitution that tells us some things we're supposed to do, we're just not doing it. There again, I mean, how many years did they kick that can down the road, folks? I can remember 30 years. Why do we allow that to happen? And then we ask, we want to know, listen, there's some good answers up here. You're going to hear a lot more. But who can do that? Something's just not right. We keep talking and addressing the same issues election year after election year, and it's just not getting done. And everyone's asked about saying, why do we send good people? We do send good people, but we're sending the wrong plan. They're not getting it done because they choose not to. They choose not to. And until we can get a coalition of people that's going to gather up like a covey of quail and stand on what they say they believe and enforce the laws and do the right thing by the American people, nothing's going to change. We got all kinds of great ideas. Even Tom Coburn said we got plenty of good ideas to solve our problems. He says we don't have enough people with courage to carry them through. I think that's what we need to think about.
As a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and Budgetary Assessments, I actually led a 2-year study on immigration, border control, border security, looking at the entire depth and breadth of Latin America, our cultural ties, economic ties, historical ties, etc. It's an ugly place south of the border. So in terms of stopping illegal immigration, the answer is simple: it's secure the borders. You do that with boots on the ground. We've got plenty of manpower for that. You put up barriers where barriers are appropriate, not everywhere. The terrain just doesn't support that. And you use technology. So we have it in our means. The current administration has just about cut in half the resources that were previously applied to border control, border security, and states like Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona are having to pick up that cost. Number one, they should be reimbursed for that, and then the government should get off its stuff and put guys on the ground to keep illegals from coming across. In terms of naturalization, There should be a self-interested kind of thing. Just because some person has a desire to come to the United States, that is not a right to come to the United States. We should be encouraging people who have skills, attitude, intelligence, and various attributes that further the betterment of this country and contribute, just like the initial waves of immigrants in the late 19th and early 20th centuries came here to participate in the American dream and to contribute. They wanted to be Americans. They didn't want to bring their own cultures and impose it on America. So immigration policy is fine when it's in the interest of the United States. Naturalization comes from that, where somebody is contributing to the United States, and we keep the illegals out by securing our borders. What do you think?
Well, I think what we're seeing here as far as immigration, we're seeing states are having to react because the federal government has failed to. In Oklahoma, 2007, we had House Bill 1804, which was a combination of 5 different bills into one omnibus bill that was dealing with immigration and how it was affecting Oklahoma. The states had to react because the federal government refused to secure the borders. And my portion of that bill was actually the employer portion, to make sure that employers are not hiring illegals. We've made it easy for illegals to get here. We've made it easy for them to receive services. And let's don't make it easy for them to come and be a citizen. I mean, amnesty is not a solution. There are legal ways to come into this country, and let's support legal ways to come to America. And when you get here, learn English, learn the culture that you're coming to. That doesn't mean you have to shed your own heritage, but if you're going to come and assimilate and be successful, studies prove you come to America, you learn English, you be a part of the free market, but let's do it legally. And let's let the federal government do their part in enforcing those laws.
I can't figure out if we're sitting or standing, so I'll stand. The question is not that difficult. And we touched on it a little bit, but enforce the law, protect the borders. But I'm going to go one step further. If you're not going to do it, let the states do it. And I certainly support what Arizona has done in this stance. As a matter of fact, our campaign has been endorsed by Sheriff Joe, who many of you know has been very tough on immigration. And the reason why is just for that exact reason. I support letting the states do what the federal government won't do. And as we know, our Constitution basically says that the powers not embodied by the federal government shall be retained by the states. So I have I pay attention to you. I have no problem with our states enforcing those laws. And I think that's what has happened to us to a large degree is, by and large, the federal government has usurped the power of the states, and that's why we're in the mess we're in now. We have recreated in many aspects our state government at the federal level, and that's why we have so much government. But again, lead, follow, or get out of the way, and let the states do it.